BigQuery ML allows you to easily create machine learning models using SQL. Let's take a look at a quick demo. I tried to come up with the simplest possible machine learning model I could build. So we're going to build a machine learning model that does temperature conversions from Fahrenheit into Celsius. So the first thing we need is a table that contains the data. So I have this table, temps table, and if we preview it, all we see is there's a column of temperatures in Fahrenheit and the associated columns in Celsius. Now we already know the formula for converting Fahrenheit to Celsius. So this is a very contrived model, but what we want to do is build a machine learning model where it takes this table as an input and it figures out the formula to return the output. So the input is the column Fahrenheit, and then the output is the column Celsius. So I already prepped some code. So let's take a look at the first query that we're going to use to train the model. So notice the code is create or replace model, and then I'm creating a model called temp conversion model inside a data set called demo models. Then the second parameter here is options, and notice there's the model type, which is linear regression. Linear regression tries to build a model that predicts a value along a line or a curve. There are many other model types that are supported in BigQuery ML, but this would be a common model type. And the data split here, random, what it'll do is it'll take the data from the table and it'll split it up into training and evaluation data sets. So when it does evaluation, it doesn't evaluate data that it's already seen. And then notice below, we're just selecting the two fields from that table we just looked at. Now notice the second field, Celsius, is aliased with the word label. The label is the value that we're going to predict. Fahrenheit is an input that we're going to use to tell the machine to predict the value and label. In a more real-world use case, you might have many different fields, but one of those fields is always the label. So if you were trying to predict the price of an apartment, the price would be the label, and then fields would be things like number of bedrooms and number of bathrooms and square footage and so on and so forth. But anyway, this statement will create for us the model. Let's run that. Now the query is completed, and then inside this data set, we have this temperature conversion model. Now, once you have a model built, then you want to evaluate how good or how bad that model is. So this next query will do the evaluation step for us. So notice the code is ML evaluate, and I'm going to evaluate the model that I just built, passing in the same data that was used to build the model. But remember, when the model was built, it automatically split the data into training and evaluation data. So it'll do the evaluation against data that it's never seen. The evaluation function will return a number of parameters. Select star means we just want to see all the parameters that get returned when we run that function. So let's run the query. So down below here, these are our evaluation metrics that are returned in that evaluation step. Now, if we decide our model is good enough, then we can use the model for prediction. So let's do that with this query here. So notice now we're running the ML predict function. We're using the model we just built, and then this second argument here is the data that we're going to pass in. So essentially we're going to pass in three values: the temperature 32 and the temperature -40 and the temperature 212. 32 should return 0, and -40 Fahrenheit is -40 Celsius, and 212 Fahrenheit is 100 degrees Celsius. So we're passing in these values. Just so you know, I removed these 3 values from the input table. That way we could do the test and we would know that the model isn't just cheating by remembering what these values were. Anyway, let's run that query and see if we get the right answers. And there we go. So there's 32 is 0, and negative 40 is negative 40, and 212 is 100. Anyway, that was just a quick demo on how BigQuery ML works. This is Doug Renstrom with ROI Training.